The next template we're going to work on is the date template. The date template is used to display posts if a user is viewing an archive for a particular date, year, month, or day. The order that's used here is date.php, then archive.php, and lastly, index.php. WordPress provides functionality for checking if a post is from a certain year, month, or day, but doesn't utilize that in their template system. This actually gives us more trouble than it does help. It would be great if we could create templates for certain time frames, but that's just not possible with WordPress. Instead, we will have to perform those checks in our templates. You'll see why this is a problem in just a moment. If you haven't already, drag and drop the Archives widget onto your sidebar. This will provide some links to view our posts for particular dates. It will help us a lot later in this lecture. Once you have that set up, let's create the date.php template file. The date template is an archive template, so we can just use the category template as a base. When it comes to date templates, we can't use the archive description function as you can't assign descriptions for dates. In these cases, we'll have to create our own custom descriptions or just remove it entirely. It's up to you and what works best for your theme or design. I'm going to use something called a conditional tag. Conditional tags are just a fancy phrase for functions that perform checks for you. They're similar to template tags, except they're meant to be used inside conditional statements. We'll be exploring more conditional tags later in this course, but let's keep it simple for now. I'm going to update this description and add in some code. Alright, I'm back and added in a series of conditional statements. It's nothing really complex. Inside these conditional statements, I'm using a conditional tag. Each of these functions will check if the date being displayed is for a particular year, month, or day. Depending on the date that's being displayed, an appropriate message will be outputted. With that all set, let's check out an archive. On the sidebar, you should have this archive widget that displays dates. Click on any of these and you should now see our template working. Once again, WordPress was able to read the URL and determine what kind of posts to grab from the database. It also took care of generating the title. The only thing we did was taking care of generating the description. Now let's look at the problems that arise with this template. If you look at the URL, you should see the date. It's formatted as year, month, and then the day. If I wanted to see posts on a specific date, then I could pass in a day like so. The only requirement for displaying a date archive is the year, so I can remove the month and day like so. Something you should know about the date archive is that it will only display if there's at least one post for the date range. For example, if I were to change the year to 2020 and refresh the page, then you should see no posts. The date template doesn't even get loaded. Instead, we get the 404 template. Even though it isn't documented inside the template hierarchy, WordPress will fall back to the 404 template if there are no posts for a date range. This is a problem because what if we wanted to display a message telling the user there are no posts for a date? We can't do that. We can't even use conditional tags as they will return false. Luckily, the date template isn't a commonly used template. I actually don't find myself creating it or even using it that often. Despite the quirks it gives off, they aren't that dangerous or bad. So you can get away with not creating this template. It's definitely a case-by-case scenario though.